pricing for houses has gradually been building for decades, and it seems that will not change. I'm sure all, or at least most of you, know what that's like to have to pay that each month. Whether you are paying for your own home by means of a mortgage or that you are paying your landlord, home prices are expected to keep growing, and possibly in time, whether we like it or not, our houses could cost us too much. I am here to persuade you that we must act as soon as possible to battle this problem, to provide a better and easier future for not only ourselves, but others as well. Today, I'm going to explain the background of increasing house costs and purchasing power of minimum wage, some possible solutions that are set in place to assist this problem, as well as what every one of you can do to make this a reality. Now let's start by taking a look at the uprise in housing costs and the decrease of purchasing power of minimum wage. The price of housing was significantly increased over the last few decades. The median for existing homes prices for all housing types in June 2020 was $295,300, which was up 3.5% from last year, which was $285,400. June's increase marks 100 straight months of increased rates, according to Brenda Richardson from the article entitled "How Long Will Home Price Continue to Rise?", which was published in July 24th of 2020. In 2013, a few years ago, after the worst housing market crash in a century, median home prices had already risen 3.7 times the average income. Between 1949 and 2018, mortgage debt as a percent of GDP grew from 15% to 80%, according to Derek Fidler, who wrote the article "The Cost of Housing is Tearing Our Society Apart," which was published on January 9th of 2019. Working for minimum wage just isn't enough in today's society. In 2018, 1.7 million workers of all hourly paid non-self-employed workers earn wages at or below the federal minimum wage of $7.25. Over the last 10 years, as the minimum wage has remained at $7.25, its purchasing power has declined by 17%. For a full-time, year-round worker, that means they will lose $3,000 annually, according to David Cooper, who wrote the article "Congress Has Never Let the Federal Minimum Wage Erode for This Long," which was published on June 17, 2019. Now that we know more about the increase in housing, the amount of people that work minimum wage, and how the purchasing power has decreased over time, let me provide some possible solutions. Solutions that could be set in place to increase the minimum wage have improved American lives. To increase the minimum wage would result in fewer housing costs burden households across the board, particularly among low-wage renters, such as people who work minimum wage. These results held true in all 8 regions examined, with the biggest proportional gains resulting from a $10 minimum wage occurring among homeowners in a couple different states. This was all according to Lauren Nolan and a couple other authors, titled "The Impact of Minimum Wage Increase on Housing Affordability in Illinois," which was published by the University of Illinois on October 24th, 2016. The Raise the Wage Act of 2019 would raise the federal minimum wage to $15 by 2024, according to David Cooper, again, titled "Congress Has Never Let the Federal Minimum Wage Erode for This Long," which was published on June 17th, 2019. It also stated that 40 million U.S. workers would establish automatic and annual adjustment of the federal minimum wage. Another article published by Maria L. Saez, which titled the Raise the Wage Act of 2019, published on July 16, 2019, or excuse me, a article published by Decker, which I can't remember the title, states that less than 2% of workers receive the federal minimum wage, and that despite the heat it generates as a policy question, raising the minimum wage doesn't help many people. And yes, this is true. It wouldn't help too many people, but it would also help 1.7 million Americans. A way to support this act would be the Raise the Wage Act, which would allow workers to, which would bump up the federal minimum wage to $15 by 2025. It would also help tip workers because they would be able to keep their tips while also benefiting from a better wage pay. A way to support this is go on to the political website. Now that I've talked about the increase of housing prices, the federal minimum wage, that I've given you some solutions on how to fix it and how to support an act that will fix this problem, I just want to leave you with one question. How much better and easier would your life be if you could spend less on your mortgage or your rent each month? Or how much easier would it be to be able to spend the same amount you are now for less in total payments to be able to own your own home?